The first time I parked at my girlfriend's house, I thought I'd pulled into a five-star resort by mistake. By the time I squeezed my beat-up Honda between two Bentleys, her billionaire father had already decided I was a gold digger. When I started dating Mia, all she said was that her family was comfortable. I expected a nice suburb, not a glass mansion with its own security gate. Inside, dinner sounded like a finance podcast. Her mom talked about flying back from Milan for a charity gala. Her brother complained about a professor at Harvard Business School. A cousin casually mentioned the place in Switzerland. I'm a mechanic. I showed up in a clean $20 shirt and boots that still smelled faintly of oil. The silverware probably cost more than my car. Mia's dad, Richard, barely looked at me those first months. Quick handshake, eyes scanning my clothes, then back to his wine. I could see the verdict in his expression. Broke, ambitious, dating his daughter for the last name. Her little sister smirked whenever I spoke, like I was a stray dog Mia had dragged in. I kept my head down, answered questions when asked, and tried not to scratch the marble floors with my boots. Then came Richard's 60th birthday. The guest list looked like the Forbes index. I told Mia I should probably skip it. She insisted, bought me a suit that cost more than my rent, and said, just be yourself. After dinner, while people drifted around with champagne, Richard caught my eye. Liam, can I see you in my study? My stomach dropped. I was sure this was the how much will it take for you to disappear talk. His study looked like a movie set. Wall-to-wall books, framed awards, a desk the size of my entire bedroom. I sat across from him, bracing. Instead of a bribe, he asked, so you work on cars? I nodded. Restoration mostly. Old stuff no one else wants to touch. What kind of old stuff? He pressed. I said, right now I'm rebuilding a 68 Mustang Fastback. His whole face changed. You're kidding, he said. I had a 67 in college. Midnight blue. I lived under that hood. For the first time, he leaned forward like he actually saw me. We ended up talking for almost 2 hours. Compression ratios, satisfaction of bringing a dead engine back to life, why modern cars all sound like hairdryers. He pulled out his phone and showed me a photo. A much younger Richard, filthy in a college parking lot, grinning next to a red Mustang. Before hotels, he said, I worked at my uncle's garage, paid for textbooks changing oil on beat-up sedans. When I stood to leave, he said, you know what I like about you, Liam? Everyone else here talks to me about my money. You talked to me about my first car. A month later, he called out of the blue. I found a warehouse near the highway, he said. Used to be a printing shop. Terrible for paper, perfect for lifts. Want to take a look? I thought he wanted advice on a property. Instead, we walked through an empty building and he said, if you want this, I'll co-sign the lease and help with equipment. Not as a favor, as a partner. You remind me of me when I was young. I almost dropped my coffee. I hadn't asked him for anything. All I'd done was talk about the only thing I really loved besides his daughter. We opened the shop 6 months later, a specialty restoration garage tucked behind an unmarked gate. Richard helped with the first lift and paint booth, then started sending his friends my way. This is the only guy I trust with anything older than me, he'd tell them. Clients came with Porsches, Ferraris, and Dusty Barn finds they'd been scared to move. Now collectors ship their cars from across the country so my team can bring them back from the dead. On Saturdays, Richard shows up in old jeans and steel-toed boots, wiping down fenders and arguing with me about the correct sound of a V8 at idle. Mia still laughs about how nervous I was that first dinner, sweating over which fork to use while her dad judged my $20 shirt. Turns out the thing that changed everything wasn't his money or my resume. It was a shared memory of busted knuckles and the smell of gasoline. Everyone else saw him as a billionaire. I saw the kid in the photo standing proud next to a car he'd fixed himself. If you walked into a room where everyone was richer than you, what passion would you talk about that they can't just buy?